everyone. Let's do Tuesday tea with Kim. All right. I've been so inconsistent about going live, but it's something important to me, and it's just something that I just need to put it in my schedule and make time for. But today something is really on my heart, and I just feel like I need to rip the Band-Aid off, and I need to be the friend that tells you the truth instead of tells you what you want to hear. So, I don't mean to ruffle any feathers. That's not my style. But I do want to wake you up because, I offer lab reviews, and I love doing them because in this lab review, I literally put all of my 35 years of medical knowledge, most of it in traditional medicine, but a lot of it in cellular health. Okay, cellular health in functional medicine. And just the whole way that I look at your labs gives you information that I think you hear, but you're not hearing. I think you hear, but you're not hearing. At the end of this, and I ask people when I'm doing lab reviews, and I'm like, hey, listen, are you just interested in information? And totally fine. If you just want to arm yourself with some information to go back to your traditional doctor and say, well, what about this and what about that? I'm here for it because I want you to advocate for yourself. And if I can give you some behind the scenes information that will help you do that, sign me up. I am all for that. I don't expect anything out of those lab reviews. However, I do believe that many of you are selling yourselves short. And here's why. Because you know something is off. You know that something is off. And then when we go through these lab results, and whether it's labs that you get done with me because I review those with you as well, or whether it's labs that you bring to me that you've had done at your regular labs, and we review them. At the end of this, I talk to you about the fact that your body, you may have all these different symptoms, but they're all related. When you peel back the layers far enough, that all of these symptoms are related. And you don't have 10 things that you have to deal with. You have one or two. You have one or two. For a lot of people, it has to do with the fact that you have a leaky gut. And even if you don't have gut symptoms, you have a leaky gut. And that is setting off this inflammatory cascade that is overwhelming your detox systems, that is now interfering with how your cells produce energy. And you are feeling that in everything that you do. All right? So I get great feedback from these calls that I do. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And then when we get to the end of it, I'm like, listen, I can get that transformation for you. I've done it before in people that have maybe are further along than you towards disease. Maybe people that have more symptoms than you. I can get you from not sleeping through the night, waking up and feeling like you're dragging yourself through the whole rest of the day. I can help with that. I can help with not really getting your protein in, not because you don't know that it's important, but because it sits like a brick in your gut for the whole rest of the day. Or not knowing like what the next right thing to do is because you're trying to Google your way through healing and there's so much conflicting information, or you're just thinking that you're doing a natural approach, a functional medicine approach, and you're DIYing it, and I'm all for that. That's how I started. So I'm not there's no shame in this, but I'm just letting you know what I'm seeing over and over and over again. And it literally breaks my heart because people are getting sicker and sicker. And I cannot just sit by and keep doing these lab reviews without saying something in general that says that if you could DIY it, you would have. And that I think what you need is a path, for someone to light that path up for you. Do you have to work with me? Absolutely not. There are other practitioners out there that will get results for you. But I know that what I do, I have a track record. I know that what I do works. And it's because of how I see the body and how I see your health. My eyes have been opened up, whether it was a gift from God or whatever. But you can't piece this together. You have to start at the beginning, and that is start in your gut. And you have to go through all the steps in the gut before you jump to the next thing, before we work on the next thing. It's like dominoes falling. You have to start at the beginning in order to get the dominoes to fall, in order to get that transformation, in order for you. I see you when I'm looking at these lab reviews, or when we're doing lab reviews of labs that you've ordered with me. You're standing on a cliff. And even though I give you great information when we chat, I don't think that you recognize how interconnected everything is. And you're not dealing with 10 problems. You're dealing with 1 or 2 problems. And if you don't dig down far enough to recognize those 1 or 2 problems and start there, and know how to start, know how to recognize them, know where to start, then you are literally putting Band-Aids, whether those are functional medicine Band-Aids and you're using supplements instead of prescriptions. You're still out here in the periphery treating symptoms instead of here at the core of what is causing all of your symptoms, at the core of what you need to work on so that you get the transformation. And if I ask you, you know, what was your number one issue? Like, what's your biggest symptom? Most of you would be hard pressed to give me one. Most of you would be hard pressed to give me one. You would tell me that, you know, I drag myself through the day, and then when I go to lay down at night, I'm wired. Or I feel like I eat and I have a little bit of energy, and then I fall off about 60 to 90 minutes later. And I know that I shouldn't be eating all this, but I have no energy unless I do, and I feel like I get a little spark from what I'm eating. Or you recognize that your gut isn't completely 100%, but you don't recognize that protein sitting in the pit of your stomach and making you kind of avoid protein in the future has to do with digestion, and it's interfering with absorption, and it might be the reason that you have constipation and bloating. It might also be the reason that you feel a little foggy. It might also be the reason that your joints hurt. It's all connected. And I just see so many people who are saying, I'm going to DIY it. And part of the reason is because they say, well, my blood sugar's still okay. But what you're not seeing is that you're already insulin resistant. You may be saying that, you might be worried about your cholesterol, but you don't even recognize that your triglycerides are telling me that you have a fatty liver already. And that's telling me that you're not detoxing. You might be worried about your sex hormones when you really need to be worried about your cortisol and your insulin and your thyroid hormone, because they're all related. And you might be looking for a supplement that is going to give you energy, but you have toxins that your body isn't able to deal with, and so that supplement isn't going anywhere. It's not ever going to do anything for you. And you need a path forward. And I'm not saying that I am the answer for everybody. I'm not the answer for everybody. But for so many of the people that I have talked to and that I have said, you have inflammation, your gut is leaking, your detox pathways are overwhelmed, your cells cannot produce energy. You are overwhelmed with all these products of inflammation, and your body cannot keep up. Your body is not thriving in the toxic environment that you're in. And you might be, when I talk to people about mold, they're like, well, I live in a new house. And it's like, new houses are airtight, and they tend to have more mold than older, draftier houses. And, I just want you to really be open to the information that you get, that you're hearing, that I'm sharing, that other people are sharing. I don't want you to apply traditional medicine ways of thinking and that sort of thing to your situation. If you feel like you're stuck, I want you to truly have an open heart and an open mind and be open to doing things a little bit differently. And for those people who, need my services and tell me, but you don't accept insurance. I don't, because insurance is going to dictate what I do with you, and insurance isn't going to get us the transformation that you need, that you want. That has to happen sooner rather than later, because the longer you wait, the harder it's going to get for you to get that transformation. And it's the holidays, and I know people are looking at like gift giving, and I know that the financial landscape out there is horrible. I was going to say it's not the best. It's way worse than that. And I said I was going to pull the Band-Aid off, and I was going to talk real talk. I know that money is tight, and I know that, we're not used to paying for insurance and then also paying for our health. But I want you to realize that seeking health and managing disease are not the same. They are not the same. Traditional medicine is set up to manage disease. It is not set up to reverse it. It is not set up to prevent it. Traditional medicine is set up to do that. And unfortunately, until we have even more changes in our, medical care, healthcare landscape, that's what you have to offer. That's what you that's sort of what you have to think about. And, so I don't know. I don't know if I made any sense, but I'm watching people get sicker and sicker. And, I have the answer. I see the answer, and they're walking away and saying, well, I'm going to try again. I'm going to try. I've got this information, and I'm going to try it on my own. And I applaud you. And I hope that something that I share in a video or in any of my groups helps you. I hope that it helps you. But it is more than just putting out fires. And you are not dealing with 10 different things. You're dealing with one or two core things that you really need to focus on. And I want you to do that. I want you to prioritize your health. I want you to recognize that doing more of the same, even with new information, if you don't have the path forward, you're really not going to get different results. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to look pretty sometimes. It's going to be hard, and it's going to look different than probably anything that you've ever done. And it's not going to be a one and done. It's going to take time, and it takes course correction over time to see how your body responds to certain things. But there is an answer. I just want you to keep an open mind until you find the answer for you. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Tuesday Tea with Kim, and I will see you on Wealth Wednesday tomorrow. I'm committed. I'm showing up.